Have you ever wanted to own your own campground and wondered what it would actually be like? Well, today we are going to find out from the owners of Happy Acres Campground in Angola, Indiana, in this episode of Travels with Delaney,
the podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. My name's Patrick.
I'm Patty.
And we are so excited today to have the owners of Happy Acres Campground and our friends Kevin and Angee with us.
Yeah.
How are you guys
Hello.
doing?
Good. Very good.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
First time on a podcast?
Well, I didn't even know what the subject matter was until just now when I heard you say it. That's how much information they share with me.
Does it make you feel better that it's just talking about owning a campground and not
Sure.
something a lot more personal?
That's pretty
Yes.
easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited. But before we start talking about the whole campground thing, we do in every episode this little ditty we like to call This or That. And Patty, you're off the hot seat this week.
Yay!
Normally
that
Patty's
means it's
in the
one
hot.
of us.
Yeah, well, both of you.
Oh.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you two choices, and you have to choose either this or that.
Oh my
and,
gosh, I'm scared.
Oh.
Do we have to give reasons?
No.
Okay,
No.
good.
I mean, unless
Sometimes
you want
I
to.
do.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it
no.
takes Patty a while to figure
I
it
have
out.
to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today's topic, Patty, is going to be
Marshmallows.
marshmallows.
Oh.
So when you go to the campfire, do you like it slow and roasted golden, or do
Burn
you
it.
say light it up?
Burn it.
I didn't even get the second choice out, Kevin, and you
No, it needs to be golden and mushy on the inside too.
Oh, see, I'm with Kevin. I like mine burnt, so I feel like Statue of Liberty with my torch.
walking around the
Yeah.
campground.
No.
Wow, that was a quick answer.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that marshmallow.
He just puts it right in.
Just stick her in, light her up. And we're
We got a
good to go.
campground to run. We don't have time for that.
That is
No
funny.
fancy marshmallows for Kevin.
Nope.
No.
That is funny. Well, that was a quick one.
That was
And it
quick.
was a split decision for
Yes.
the two of you.
Yeah.
And Patty, you're and it is for us too, because I tend to like to get that nice
Yeah, you
golden
take forever with your
kind of-
marshmallows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm over there just done.
I'm on
Yeah.
marshmallow 3, and she's still heating up the first one.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how you guys do your s'mores, not to get too far off topic,
We got
but
trained a few years ago on how to
we
do
went
this.
to S'more Academy. We
Yeah.
didn't even know we were going. But
Is that a thing?
No, not
Oh.
really. But we were out west with our friends, Jeff and Shelley.
Yeah,
And
Jeff had a technique.
Jeff
we
has
learned.
this technique. Like, I was always just, you get the graham cracker, you
get
throw
your-
a piece of your Hershey's chocolate, you roast your marshmallow, put it together, and
Done.
you're done. No, not with Jeff.
No.
He gets some foil and he sets it on the edge of the fire, lays down his graham crackers and his chocolate. So
Oh,
that
what
the
a good
chocolate,
idea.
Yeah, so
So
the
it gets all
chocolate gets
warm.
soft.
Melty.
Then when his marshmallow's done, he'll roll the marshmallow in the chocolate and then put it together.
Yes.
So you have really almost like a chocolate covered marshmallow.
Wow.
Fancy.
Yeah.
We should do a video on that.
We
Yeah,
should.
We should.
I've
We
never
should.
seen that done before.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was crazy. We had never seen it. So I
Yeah.
always say Jeff is like the s'more king because
Yeah.
he's got like this, he's like a chef of s'more.
That's right.
I think I'm pretty much just done at the burnt marshmallow.
Yeah.
I don't need the chocolate and the crackers.
No.
No, just the marshmallow.
I can tell Kevin is not going to have time to wait for the chocolate
Yeah,
to melt. It's
no.
just like,
Done.
yeah.
No.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in and start talking campgrounds. But I guess to start with, do you want to kind of share your journey? How did you end up owning a campground?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd this happen?
I'd like to hear this.
Is this going to involve liquor and a game of poker or something?
Oh
Or
my. So I tricked Kevin. Apparently, no. How did we? I don't know. We went and visited some friends who were camping. I don't know how many years ago, 3-4 years ago, and I hadn't been to a campground in a really long time. I'm ashamed to say, and I don't know if Kevin had ever been to a campground.
I've been to a campground.
But we went and just stayed the day. We didn't even stay the night, and I just was, I don't know, amazed at the business of it, the business aspect of it. And, I think a lot of people are like, I want to have a campground because it looks like so much fun. That wasn't what I was seeing. I was seeing this is a great business.
okay.
And, I clearly did not have all the information at that time. But, that's kind of how it started. And at the time, I had just sold my business to Kevin. So I was kind of, I don't know if you want to call it retired. I was probably too young to be retired, but between jobs, I guess.
Right.
And so I thought, this is great. We should do this. So I just kind of started planting the seeds in Kevin's mind. And eventually, apparently, they grew.
So did it take a lot of convincing for you?
Not really.
No.
We always thought, we talked about it even before, just buying some property and building just a small little getaway, kind of a hobby campground.
Cool.
So eventually, after I sold my company and we were both, in between jobs, we love the Midwest and we love Indiana in the summertime, especially this area. And we thought we should maybe try to find a going entity that we can buy, that we can still put some sweat equity back into it, but maybe it's already started and going. And we made a list, and we came back to Indiana, what was that, 2021 in the spring. And
No, wait. Is that right?
Yeah. 2021.
Yeah, okay.
And this is the first place we visited, and we had a deal in like 20 minutes with a
Oh,
guy.
wow.
So it happened really fast.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
And I will also, I'm with Angie. I didn't really have all the information. I had enough to make a decision to go forward, but there's probably some things I wish I'd have known ahead of time, but we'll probably get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fascinating because it's something we've always talked about. Either, I remember years ago I joked that, I'm going to buy a campground someday. There was one down outside of Gatlinburg that had not been in operation for several years. And every time we drive by it, we'd see the for sale sign. I'm like, we ought to buy that. And I remember I used to joke, we'll call it Camp Patty Poo. I don't even know why.
He comes up with great names.
But, the funny thing was eventually somebody did buy that old dilapidated campground and turned it into almost the Happy Acres of Gatlinburg because it's a nice, small, really upscale.
Kind of like glamping.
And when I say upscale, I mean it's still stone pads, but they just put their glamping touch on it.
Just clean and kept up. And
and
isn't that the one, honey, with the yurts?
The yurts and the tree houses. They've added different things, And
it's kind of just tucked in along a mountainside. It's really cool with a stream.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
But I think we even though we would joke about that, I think there's things you can say like, I'd like to own a campground, but you don't realize
what's
it's like
involved.
people. As a kid, I always wanted to run a hotel, and I grew up to run hotels. And then I realized, like, okay, maybe it's not as glamorous as sitting in the lobby having a drink with your guests. That they're open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, including holidays. And I'm guessing maybe with the campground, some of the excitement of campfires and s'mores, somewhere along the way you went, there's more to this than just.
I would say that's true.
Yeah. I would say.
Kind of like you, hon, your first year of being the Auburn Inn manager, and you had to go in and work on water pipes.
Yeah, things that
like
you just didn't expect you would. I'm guessing you probably have some. Maybe you had all the skills, but you're using them all here. I'm guessing.
Yes.
Using every one of them.
Yes, but then when you're fixing the water pipes, you also have to provide excellent customer service to the people that are still coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
So had you been campers? Is that kind of what triggered this, or it was more just that visit to?
I camped when I was a kid, tent camping, but honestly, no. We have an RV. We still have the RV, but we used it more for getting to a destination. Like we would go to Montana to visit our friends. We didn't camp. We didn't really camp.
Right.
It was more of a hotel to get you to where you were going. Taking your own bed and.
Yes.
Yep.
So we, I guess, so that was the extent of our camping experience together. And visiting a friend at the campground one day.
Yeah, I think we've done that before, though, where you go and you see something and you're like, well, this would be cool. Let's buy it. You know? And then later you're like,
it sounds really simple. It wasn't like we just ran out after that and bought a camp. We did do research and we actually did try to find just land initially, and we found out that the whole zoning process, which should have been our first initial clue of how difficult it is to deal with the state, but we couldn't find a piece of property that they would allow a campground on.
Right.
So that kind of pushed us. It kind of forced us to look at the existing campgrounds in that area.
And I think that's been a trend recently where, there's been this surge in RV sales. So if you have RVs, you need places to camp. And people are out there wanting to build campgrounds, but these locations are just saying, no, we're not going to do zoning for it. And so I think that's a challenge across the U.S. So you ended up making the deal, and I think you took possession sometime in the fall of 2021, if I remember right.
Labor Day.
Yeah, we had done all the paperwork with them. It had about 50% of the sites were seasonal sites, and the prior owner had taken all the money for those seasonals and wasn't willing to give any of it back to close earlier. He wanted to close earlier.
Like in June, or I think we were going to try for June.
But we said you'll have to
prorate that money.
Right.
Prorate and send it back. And he's like, well,
no.
I can't really do that. So I said, well, we'll see you this fall at the end of the season. Well, then he had some medical issues halfway through the summer, and we stepped in and started kind of trying to help a little bit. And finally we just said, fine, don't prorate it, but we just got to get in here and get working.
Yeah.
So we ended up closing anyway.
Okay.
So we made negative money the first year.
Yes.
I bet. Since you didn't really have half the revenue or more.
I think we ended up with just about no revenue the first year, but it was a good opportunity to jump in and meet some of the people and try to figure out what we had and what we needed to do moving forward.
Sure.
And you did a lot in that first fall, winter, spring before last season started.
Yes.
Yeah, because we drive by and see oh wow, look what they're doing there. What's going on?
I mean, but it was so noticeable in a very short period of time.
Absolutely.
Well, there was some pretty hideous structures around here, so as soon as those came down, I would say it made a huge impact just taking some stuff down.
Just clean up.
Yeah.
I remember watching because I drive by here every time I go to work, and I'd look over and I'd see either another structure coming down or one going up. I saw the sign change, and the sign change obviously made instantly. I said something special is happening because the new logo, the colors, it
was
just
really pretty.
It screamed like something's happening big. And that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you on Instagram. Plus, you were doing some posting in the fall on Facebook.
Yeah, a little bit. I was getting my feet wet a little bit.
But it was enough that it made us realize, again, that something special is happening over there. And that's why, and Patty had been wanting for a long time. We do these things called campouts, and normally we do them anywhere from Maine to Oregon.
We go miles.
And she kept saying, why can't we just stay home and do one?
Just stay
and
home.
So that's why I reached out to you to say, could we host an event? And then obviously we did, and now we're here. But yeah, that first year, it just seemed like you cranked out a lot of stuff very quickly.
Well, I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, we did.
It was easy to notice. I mean,
we noticed.
So cool. Park size. About how many sites do you have?
About 90.
About 90, and about 50%, I believe, are seasonal still.
Yeah, seasonals or monthlies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you added cabins, which were not here, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
6 beautiful cabins.
Gorgeous.
So that's going to be nice, and you've got pull-throughs, you got full hookups, you got back ends, you got water electric. Heck, if somebody wants to pitch a tent, they can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, we got a couple tent sites, but we actually have some sites that I say we gave them a facelift over since the fall. And so 4 sites that used to be tent sites are now beautiful back-in RV sites on the pond.
Right.
And what else did we do? I had so much I forget. I don't know, but I know that those. I'm kind of excited about those because they're really pretty.
That would have been a good this or that.
Yes.
Skybox or pond back-end sites. And for those of you listening, are like, what's a skybox?
I like the skybox.
You want to explain the skybox?
The skybox is so Kevin likes to give funny names to all these.
It's good.
Just people, like places, whatever.
Yeah, Patrick's good that too.
And so we have 6 sites that are up on the hill. They're kind of separated off from the rest of the campground, a little more private, surrounded by trees, and it's the highest point in the campground. So we started calling it the skybox, and it just kind of stuck with our campers and people. So I think people are hesitant to go there initially because there is no sewer. It's just water and electric. Right. But they are really big pull-through sites. And once they camp up there, then the people will call
They
back.
start to request
yeah,
the
I
skybox.
want the skybox.
Right.
And
I don't care which site, just the skybox.
Yep.
When we bought the campground, the sites were already there. They were just mostly unusable. There was barely a 2-track road leading up the hill to it. There were just grass pads to park on.
Yeah, there's
and if
no
there was
gravel.
any kind of rain or weather, you couldn't get up there. You couldn't really use it. So, which was a shame. So we invested in, I don't know, 20 or 30 truckloads of gravel and kind of put some new roads in there, and we didn't do anything else. We mow it really nice, and it's a beautiful spot up there. It's probably one of my favorite spots in the whole campground.
When we stayed for the first time last year, we were on our way home from Maine, and we just stayed in a pull-through.
Yep.
And I remember we walked up there, and we're like, this is awesome. And so I think we came back like 2 weekends later and stayed up there, and those instantly became our favorite sites because of exactly what you said. You feel like you have your own little campground up there, because there's only 6 of you up there, and they are massive in terms of the amount of grass space you have.
Yeah, they are.
And I think, but now with these new sites on the pond, those are something special too.
Yeah.
Again, those were sites that were already there. They were just underutilized because there was no gravel, so if it was wet at all, it was tough to get a camper.
Right.
We would allow campers to use them. The problem was, I mean, you'd probably get stuck if you tried to put anything
and
of
it was
any
pretty
decent
hilly,
size.
so I think pop-ups would use them and stuff like that, but the terrain was not really set up for anything other than tents. So yeah, but now we've leveled them out and added the gravel pads, and so they're
Very nice.
Yeah.
Amenity-wise, I mean, you redid the bathhouse, which beautiful what you've done with those.
Both bathhouses.
Both 2 bathhouses.
Yeah.
You added the dog park.
Pups love that.
The pickleball court is new, I believe.
It was apparently initially back in the 80s a dodgeball court.
Okay.
Oh my, that's Dayton.
Yeah. So yeah, now it's pickleball.
Yeah.
The volleyball, is that new, or was that here?
Well, I don't ever remember seeing a net up. There were posts in the ground, and there was no sand. It was just grass. So we kind of dug the grass out, put some sand in, and went to eBay and bought a net, and now we have a volleyball court out there.
Wow. Laundry?
Yeah, moved that
coming.
indoors. So
Yeah.
It was just outside. We just moved it inside because, well, it's just
weird
nicer.
outside.
It's weird outside.
Yeah, super weird.
That is weird.
And the old pool is gone.
Old pool's gone.
The one that used to be right out by the highway where
Yes.
everybody could see you in your bathing suit.
Yes.
Dun, da, da, da. Look at me.
So
Truckers honking on the way
Oh,
by.
I bet.
So the old pool is gone. I'm going to keep referring to it as the old pool. And with that, you kind of turned it into like a little sandy play area, right?
Yeah. I call it the playground for ground play because there's no slides or swings, but
You got other things.
yeah, there's TP and there's some, those big sand toys for
Right.
kids,
Yeah.
and there's a gaga ball
Sure.
pit court. I'm not
Pit,
sure what
maybe?
it's
Yeah.
supposed to be called, but I don't know. Oh, one of those. What's that?
Tetherball?
Tetherball. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
One of those.
That's, I mean, those are fun things for especially kids. They need to get off the devices.
Well, Patrick likes tetherball too sometimes. you
Yeah.
know.
It's a fairly easy sport.
That's
so
right.
It's one I can play.
There's actually very specific rules and guidelines because when I was
Really?
planning it,
Really?
I was looking it up and I was like, dang, people take this serious.
Not like a kid when you make up the rules, you know?
Yeah.
The National Tetherball.
Yeah.
Okay, so the old pool's gone, but there is a big, shiny pool sitting
waiting
out
out there
There
for
is.
its place.
That was a huge learning curve for us here at the campground. Apparently, in the state of Indiana, campgrounds are a regulated industry, which means they're subjected to yearly inspections. And I mean, I can see why.
Right.
I've been to places that probably could use a good inspection, but we initially filed with our city to get a permit to put in the pool before we ordered the pool or anything. And we talked with the people at the city building department and the health department. Bam, we had a permit. Well, in the meantime, we were talking to the state about building a new shower bathhouse. And they informed us when they saw the new pool on the plans that we also needed to submit that through of all places, Homeland Security and the state health department.
Okay.
So this get really confusing.
It did. But the problem is that this happened almost a year later when we found out. So this whole time we thought we were just waiting on a pool to get here,
Right.
which was supposedly delayed because of COVID. And so we thought as soon as the pool gets here, we can put the pool in. And it wasn't until the pool arrived, and then almost simultaneously we found out we couldn't put it in. So
Oh, no.
I think I lost a few years of my life from this
Oh,
no.
no.
incident.
So it was another 3 months of just talking with the state and with engineers and builders and figuring out exactly what the process is. There's no good laid out plan to get through
No.
something like this. It's a lot of it we had to learn as we went along.
Right.
Eventually we hired a firm out of Missouri.
Missouri? Yeah.
Yeah, the engineering company, Westport Pools, and they do a lot of business in the state of Indiana. So, I mean, another $12,000 and
geez.
a little bit of hand holding for a couple
Oh,
months, and they
my.
drew the plans up. They actually were able to get it through for us.
Yeah.
So as of right now, it looks like we're good to go. We'll call the city one more time the first of the week, and with the nice weather next week,
Yeah.
fingers crossed, start
Oh,
digging a hole for
my.
a swimming
Right.
pool.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And that'll be a quick
Or for
process.
bodies, one or the other.
Can you do that?
Can you say that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure.
That's funny. So that's going to be really nice when that
That's
goes
going to
in.
be awesome.
The pavilion is brand new as
Beautiful.
well, right? That was not here.
That was a basketball court before.
Okay.
There were previously it was a basketball court. It
Okay.
was such a nice piece of concrete. It seemed a waste to
Yeah.
tear it down. So we got a permit and build a pavilion there.
It's nice.
I'm glad you did because you do entertainment
Yes.
in the pavilion,
Yes.
which is really nice.
I'm actually quite shocked. That's probably one of my biggest surprises in all of this is how much that gets used. So even when we don't have activities going on, people are using the pavilion.
Right.
And it's just a nice hub for gatherings for, even when you're starting events that aren't going to take place at the pavilion, it's a nice place to meet and start. And
Right.
so, and it's right next to where the pool's going to be. So that whole area is, the road's called Playmore.
Right.
So that's where everybody's going to go to play.
That's right.
I can't wait. When the pool's in, you have it all there. What will you name that area? Will it be like?
Oh, yeah,
That's going to be fun.
What will you name it?
I don't know.
The Oasis.
The Oasis, yeah. Well, you know what I love about that? I remember the first time we came and we walked up there, you have that really nice, like, outdoor furniture in there, the couch or the... And I was like, this is so cool. Like a place that if I just want to walk up with my coffee in the morning and sit, you know.
And
sometimes
people do.
Or
Yeah.
read your book or,
Yeah, it
hang
felt
out.
like, it almost felt like I hate to use the word internet cafe or something like that, or a coffee house, because it's not a coffee house or an internet cafe.
Yeah.
But just a place where you could go with your book if you wanted and sit in really comfortable furniture. And
We've seen a lot of open laptops up
Yeah.
We
there.
have.
oh, I bet. Yeah.
But we don't see furniture at our house anymore.
Oh, is that where it's from?
Oh, no.
We were never there, so I was like,
Right.
we might as well take it to the campground. That's where we're at.
That's awesome. So that's a lot here. I mean, really. And then the camp store where we're recording
Beautiful.
this. I
We
remember,
remember what it was.
years ago we came over to check about a seasonal site.
Yeah.
And I remember what it was. And when I walked in, because Patty,
I
you
did-
didn't come in when I checked in the first time.
She's like, I've been in there
Nope.
before.
Yeah,
I'm not going in.
And I came out and I'm like, you have to go in there. This is amazing.
I'm like, all right.
And you just had it done so well
So
last year,
cute.
and excited to see what you do this year.
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
it.
me too. I'm excited to see what happens.
Do a lot of people come up here and hang out? Because I know you do like coffee and donuts.
Sunday
Sunday
mornings, yeah,
and-
we have there's a core group of people that show up, but then always there's some random people. Some
Right.
of the weekend people will come up, but this year I'm letting people pre-order donuts.
Right.
So if they have a specific donut they want, because I just go Sunday morning to Tom's and get donuts, and it was a little tough because I have no idea how many to get.
Right.
Sometimes I would get 2 dozen and I'd have 23 donuts left.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would get a dozen and, 12 people would come and want donuts that I didn't have. So I'm going to try to push that a little more. But I mean, first world problems. So
Right.
Yeah.
World famous Tom's Donuts.
Donuts. Yeah.
Who knew Angola, Indiana was the home of
World famous donuts.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I don't know Tom or
No.
the sailors at all, but there was some famous donut place in Key West, and so a whole bunch of people were talking about it, and I'm like, well, we gotta go.
Glazed, I think that was the name of it.
Yes, yeah. So we went, and I mean, more power to the small business in Key West, but they don't have anything on Tom's.
I can honestly say we
know
grew
too,
up in
yeah.
Angola, and everywhere we have traveled from coast to coast in this country,
People's like, you got to try this donut.
Yeah, everybody's always got a donut, and we always come back and
Yes.
say
Right.
Tom's
Yep.
is the best.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so.
I mean, you go into a coma when you're done eating it,
Well,
but
Right? Yeah.
The sugar
It's-
coma,
yeah.
You're like comatose.
Got a big chunk of lard there on the back counter.
yeah.
Would you believe Tom was my PE teacher as a freshman
Oh,
in high
is he
school?
really?
So not only did he fatten us up with his donuts, he helped keep us in
helped
shape. Yeah.
You
That's
had to
good.
work it off at
Yeah.
school.
yes.
Actually, Tom was our football
Yeah,
coach. He actually came to Angola from Michigan. He's actually in the Michigan Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
cool.
Yeah, he
I
was
did not know that.
Yeah, how Angola stole him away from
Yeah.
a school.
How that happened.
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know.
But I digress with the whole Tom
Squirrel.
donuts.
Yeah.
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 So, what would you say in this past year, or really, because it's only been, well, it hasn't even been
A year and a half.
Year and a half has been maybe one of your biggest challenges, or maybe something you just going into this you weren't expecting.
I think we were probably our biggest enemies. Angie and I are both kind of overachievers, and we know what we like and we know what we need to do. And I think we just kind of burned ourselves out last
We did.
year.
And there were so many things that no matter how hard we tried or how much money we had, it just couldn't happen.
Right.
And I mean, like the pool is a perfect example, but there were other things too. And I have no patience, so it made it even worse.
Aw.
But yeah, that was
Big.
a big deal.
Yeah.
But I think probably for me, the hardest part for me was, and Kevin's going to kick me for saying this, but running a campground where everything's already done and you're just working on taking care of the customer, great. Fixing up a campground or anything for that matter where you're doing construction and everything, that's great. But when you're trying to do both of them at the same time, it is hard. It's very stressful, and to maintain that balance, there was we couldn't ever work on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays because that's our busy days.
Right.
And you can't be driving tractors and excavators and cutting you just can't be doing that kind of stuff when the campground's full. And so you had that limitation. But then also, people don't want to come and camp in a work zone
Right.
So it was a challenge to do. Doing either of them separately, I feel like would have been a cake walk for us.
Right.
And we maybe wouldn't have gotten into the issue with the pool because we would have had the mental capacity to actually focus strictly on that. But yeah, that was the hardest part for me, for sure.
That was difficult.
Doing both.
And when we bought it, we had talked a little bit about having a sabbatical year where we just
Yeah, that's why I said he's going to kick me.
where we just had everybody leave for 1 year, just
Right.
lock the gates
Yeah.
and come in and just get everything done.
And
That's
Yeah.
which was my idea.
And I said, no way.
She had a good point. There were people that had been here seasonally for
Right.
a lot of years running. So, and they're a big part of the charm of this campground.
Sure.
And I was afraid of losing that. So,
Yeah.
I think we made the right choice keeping people in here, but it was definitely a challenge. And in the future, I would think hard and heavy about that moving
Right.
forward.
I would kick him out.
The place in Gatlinburg that you talked about was probably a dream for them to go in.
Yes.
because
It had already
There
been
was
closed
there
for
was
years.
nobody
So
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was so overgrown. I mean, you could see where there had been sites, but yeah,
They didn't have to deal with that issue.
in many ways, it had to have been almost like a blank canvas, except it was already zoned and a campground.
yeah, they had
Yeah.
the zoning and
Yeah.
They had the infrastructure.
Right,
Yeah.
infrastructure. It was just a matter of probably
upgrading all of it.
upgrading and yeah. So Yeah, I can only imagine trying to operate
Yeah.
a business and completely renovate it. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be like, I think, always think in terms of hotels. And I can't imagine trying to operate a hotel daily. I mean,
And
it's done.
Neither of
because
us really knew what we were doing. I mean, we knew business and we, that kind of aspect of it,
Right.
but we didn't know campgrounds. So
Right.
not only were we doing those two things, but we're learning too. I mean, we were doing the best we could to just, kind of make it through some of the times.
She was the hospitality and I was the construction, and there was a lot of friction there.
Yeah.
She said sites 55 through 95 said they don't have any water. I'm like, I know, I'm knee deep in the water fixing a water line right now.
Why didn't you tell me? By the end of the season, I had an automatic pre-made email that every time the water line got broke, I just hit click
And it went
and
out.
sent the email out to all the people that were in the park that the water's broke again. So, I mean, it got to the point where it was happening on at least weekly, but usually more often than weekly. And I mean, some of it was from the construction, but some of it was just because the system was so
Old infrastructure.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I would say based upon your recent reviews online, you came through the first year with flying colors, because the reviews that I read online are people absolutely love this place and they love you guys. And that should be a real testament of what you did. And I can only imagine what the future is going to be like, going forward. Well, we talked about the kind of the downside. What would you say over this last year and a half has been like your highlights? Like
Yeah, the high.
where you're like, wow, this
This was great.
I'll start. I'm a major extrovert, and I love activity, and I love things going on, and I love happy people. And I cannot believe how many good people we've met just in
Yeah.
the last year and a half. So
I agree.
people that show up here, our old business, we had auto collision shops, so we dealt with people who'd been in car accidents. We're dealing with insurance companies. So
They weren't happy.
when we
I
bought
bet
this,
not.
everybody that comes through the door is really happy to start with. It's your job just to keep them happy
Yeah,
the,
just-
rest of the rest of the time. And
Yeah.
so there's always a place you can stop and chat with somebody.
Everybody always has a hamburger or beer ready for you.
Yep.
There's always somebody who just came from Maine or came from California or came from,
Yeah,
the
and
mountains in Canada. And
Kevin
it's just,
loves to just chat with everybody and pick all that information and learn all that stuff. And the
exciting.
joke last year was every single time he talked to somebody, he would come in here and say, "That guy is so nice," and I'm like, "Kevin, everybody cannot be so nice."
I'm like, that might be the nicest person I've ever met.
Every time. That might be the nicest person. I'm like,
Aw.
every person cannot be so
So the
nice.
most recent person is
Yeah.
the nicest
Yep,
person.
Yep, that's right. They just keep getting better.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a good year.
I would say probably the highlight is all the things that make people want to own a campground. I mean, the things they see on the outside,
Right.
the socializing, the friends that you make, the sitting around campfires, the doing the activities, all that stuff. I mean, that was the highlight, really.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of the same reason
Like
we just,
for us, yeah.
we just recorded a video that'll be coming out soon on why we do YouTube, like,
YouTubers.
and the things we like and the things we dislike. And we both have always said the best part of YouTube
Is the
we
people.
have friends from coast to coast. And if
Yeah.
we had never done YouTube, we would have never met. It's the people.
Yeah.
And I could see, and I think that's why we've
Yeah.
always talked about a campground. And that's why I loved running hotels, meeting guests from all over the world and hearing their stories.
Sure.
So yeah, that's exciting that you
Yeah.
both kind of agree that was it, that it's
That's
the
cool.
people.
Yeah.
So what about the future? Future of Happy Acres? Do you have, I mean, not necessarily concrete plans, but do you ever sit around and dream of like the future of what this is going to look like?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. And I don't know if I should say anything out loud because
Yeah, and don't say
I
anything
think
that you
You
don't.
don't have
Yeah.
I think as soon as you mention something,
Then it
you get a
becomes a
whole
thing.
you get a whole bunch of people that are
Right.
like, so when's this going to happen now? When's this going to happen? But I think we have some great plans, and a lot of it moving forward is going to be based on sales numbers. We know what the industry standards are, and we're kind of watching our numbers. Obviously, if we start to rise above those industry numbers, we're going to plan on more sites and
Okay.
do more things like that.
Gotcha.
If we don't, we have Plan B, which is not abandon the campground or demolish sites, but
No.
it's to just go a different direction with the
Yeah.
campground. Right now,
with the extra space.
with the extra
Gotcha.
space, yeah. Right now, I don't think it's a secret that our campground is we don't have a ton of amenities for little kids. We have camping, which is really nice, and family time, but it's a pretty sleepy campground compared to a lot of campgrounds around here where people are up all night playing music and in their golf carts.
No, 9 o'clock. Lights out around here.
I mean,
that's right.
We laugh. It just and it just seems like it gets really quiet after dark around here. A lot of people are back at their sites playing cards or having a campfire or cooking dinner, but it's really quiet, and we like that.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that. And we do have a lot of new people this year. So if you guys are listening, I don't want to lose that.
Well, and that was one of the things we noticed early on. We're like, okay, this place is like super quiet.
Mellow.
And,
nice.
and we liked it. That was one of the reasons. Because, we were like, why would we camp 10 minutes or 12 minutes from our house? And we stopped that one weekend just on the way home. But then it was like, this is nice.
This is nice.
And this became like our little escape for like 4 more weekends,
Yep.
3 or 4 more weekends.
Little excursion, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who came to our fall campout commented about how quiet it was here, even with I-69 or Interstate 69.
It's weird.
They're like, I didn't really notice it, but they did notice, like, everybody was, even the people having campfires at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a raucous party.
Right.
Yeah, it was just.
I would say most of our campers are older.
Sure.
Although this year we do have a few.
I would say
that are
the average
younger.
age is my age. So am I older?
Yeah, you are.
All right.
No.
I guess I'm older.
No, you're not. You're a young chicken. Kevin and I are about the same age. So.
I'm just saying they like the age where they don't necessarily have little kids.
Right.
They might have young adult kids that will come and visit occasionally, but it's
Not
more
ones,
that are more established in their life, and we do have some kids, but it's not the majority here. It's more for adults, I guess, but
Yeah. That's okay.
This might be the strangest question, but because I do this sometimes. Do you ever lay in bed and you kind of like close your eyes and you start thinking about things? And do you ever dream of like a Happy Acres from the East Coast to the West Coast,
You mean like a chain
like
of
a
them?
chain?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like where you're envisioning your like empire of Happy Acres campgrounds, or you're just happy. You're like,
Are you going one step at a time?
Yeah.
I'm a one step at a time.
Because I'm always like one of those people. It doesn't mean it will ever happen, but I just sometimes I dream like, what if I had like?
He's a big dreamer.
Yeah, I'm always a big dreamer.
I'm a one step at a timer.
Our previous company, we had locations in different states, so we weren't coast to coast by any stretch, but we were consolidators in the business we were in. I don't know if I would go that route with a campground because I think at some point it's easy to lose touch with what you're trying to do. I'm not saying that I wouldn't rule out a second one, maybe in a different location.
Right.
But
you're not going to become KOA.
No.
No.
KOA could be KOA, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
No.
I think they do what they do really well,
Yeah,
and
they do.
I like the niche that we're in.
Sure.
I don't know why, and for those of you listening, the audio version, I'm seeing Angie over here just ready to kick him if he says the wrong thing. I kind of have some insight.
I recognize
into this
that
subject. Yeah, like Kevin's like, yep, one location, that's good for me.
No, we do enjoy it, but I do not want to lose touch of what the whole goal, the whole reason we did this to start with, and it's kind of it's as much for us as it is for our campers. Our previous business was really stressful. We had a lot of employees, and it was becoming really difficult to hire and to maintain the standards that we expect. And Angie and I think, see a lot of things the same. So I think it's going to be easy to.
Yeah, I think that same thing would happen if we got a whole bunch of locations all across the country. I mean, I think our jobs would turn into very stressful, hard to hire, hard to manage. That doesn't sound great to me right now.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be running around the park and talking to all the guests, because at that point you become more of a corporate manager. And so
it's kind of like when we do our campouts, we like them small.
We do.
With and when we have the big ones, it's so hard to talk to everybody and be, happy and jovial and meet with them and have
one of the things we love
and-
about here too. I mean, there's not a lot of sites total. 90's
No.
not a big campground.
No.
I mean, some of the local ones are 200-300.
Yeah. almost too big.
They're just way too big, and it's like here it feels like a little family
like a
when
little
you come
home.
camping.
Yeah, cozy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So every episode we like to close it out with a Delaney pro tip. And I'm thinking this might be something, this week's pro tip is something you may have encountered already or seen people doing. But when you're hooking up, you arrive at the campground, you back your trailer in, or maybe even you pull in. I think it's really easy for campers to just get excited about unhitching. And
we did this last week.
And then you go to hook up your utilities and you realize you're 3 feet short for your sewer hose.
Yep.
Has that ever happened here? People, you see them unhitched and then they're hitching back up because their electric cord won't reach?
I have seen that. And then I've seen them try to move the camper with the slide out and take out the utilities pole.
Oh, I haven't done that.
Same time.
Oh, no.
That's happened.
Ooh.
Oh, ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah, that happened to us recently, honey. Yes.
Yeah, so I always recommend, and I always, as I tell my students, I'm honest because I don't want to be hypocritical. Last week, when we were in Hilton Head, I unhitched. I knew I was close enough for water and electric, but unfortunately, when I 2 days later decided to hook up a sewer hose, I was literally like 2 feet short. Now, we do carry an extra sewer hose, so it wasn't a big deal, but I prefer not to if I don't have to dirty a second hose. So my pro tip that I should take myself is before you unhitch your RV, if it's a towable, make sure that all of your hoses and cords will reach the appropriate area.
That's right.
That's a good tip.
Yeah,
Yes,
it'll
that
save
is a
you
good
some.
tip.
It'll save you some heartache,
A little headache,
or a headache. Luckily, like I said, we carry 2 sewer hoses. It
wasn't a big deal.
But I just kept thinking, if I would have just pulled forward another 2 feet,
all would have been fine.
All would have been
he
fine.
Goes, you can't believe what I just found out. I'm like, uh-oh.
I mean, I'm not even sure if it was 2 feet, and I was stretching on that thing. But a sewer hose is not something you want to
stretch on.
No, not necessarily.
No. I have a pro tip from the campground owner. Also, when you're pulling in or backing in, don't run over the sewer. That would be great.
That'd be great.
So that is the official Happy Acres pro tip of the week.
Yes.
Don't back over.
Don't run over the
connection.
sewer connection.
Oh my gosh.
I'm guessing we're giving this tip because that has happened.
That's
before.
happened. Yes.
Oh
wow.
My.
That can't be good for the sewer or for the tire.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Well, I mean, I learned last year that the way that sewers are that come out of the ground, that they're kind of meant like it's designed knowing that somebody's probably going to.
We don't glue that coupler in. So when that coupler gets damaged, it's easy just to take it off and put a new coupler on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Nice. There's a little pro tip
That's
a
for
pro tip.
campground owners.
Yeah.
We learned
but
it by
still,
accident.
yeah, it still is a pain.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Well, we, for those of you that don't know, Patty and I are going to be spending 2023 here at Happy Acres. We're going to be here almost the entire year, camping season.
They're going to get sick of us.
They're going to get sick of us.
No, we're not.
You're going to get sick of us.
So if you are coming through the Midwest, please stop by. Say hi to us. Say hi to Kevin and Angee. Spend a few nights. I tell you, this is such a great area. I'm always talking up. First of all, your campground is a great location. I-69, US 20, about 10 minutes south of the Indiana Toll Road. Steuben County, 101 lakes.
Yep, beautiful state park.
I would put it in the top 3 state parks in Indiana. We've got the RV Museum 50 minutes away. We've got every major RV manufacturer within an hour.
If you like antique cars.
The car museum.
Car museum down in Auburn. And if you need to get your Costco fix or big city fix, we're maybe 40 minutes down 69 to Fort Wayne. It's just a great location. And so
in the summer it's just beautiful here.
It is.
Absolutely. So please come see us here at Happy Acres. It's going to be a fun camping season. And we would be remiss if we did not thank our good friend and producer, Jim Kuzman.
Jim,
thank you, Jim.
Yep, Jim is the one who is going to make this sound great.
He has magic.
He does have magic. And honestly, we wouldn't have this podcast.
No.
This podcast actually started right here at Happy Acres.
Oh, did it
cool.
really?
Labor Day weekend last year.
Okay.
I was sitting at the campfire with Jim.
Him and Jim were canoodling.
We were drinking. We were actually drinking old fashions.
Okay.
Jim had made us old fashions, and
you were smarter every drink.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I don't know. Jim said, "Do you ever think about a podcast?" And I said, "We talk about it all the time. I don't know how to." And next thing I know, literally went into the trailer when we got done, and I said, "You remember that podcast we talked about for 2 years?"
I'm like, yes.
I said, "The equipment's ordered."
I'm like,
oh, it's happening.
Because I just said to Jim, "Tell me what I need to order." We placed the order right there at the campfire.
Did you order headsets?
And I did, because Jim was picking out actual microphones.
I'm like,
no. Patty would really like the headsets. He's like, "No problem, we can get those."
Love the headset.
Yeah. So it literally started here at Happy Acres Labor Day weekend.
Great.
As far as the whole
that's fun.
idea.
Yep.
And but yeah, without Jim, this would not be at all
Thank you, Jim.
possible.
I apologize in advance if we made your job difficult.
I think he always is happy with how we do this. So hopefully he'll be happy with this one as well. So, all right, everybody. Well, we hope you have enjoyed this episode of Travels with Delaney, the podcast. Trust me, Angie and Kevin are going to be on definitely more episodes with us as we document this entire journey this year. And we appreciate you listening. And if your podcast platform allows you to rate us or leave a comment, please do, because it really helps us with the algorithm so that more people can find our podcast. And until next time, everybody, we'll see ya.
On down the road.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.